and welcome back to the Rebels by Nature podcast. I am joined by Kat. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you so much, Jess. I'm really
So
happy to be
excited.
here.
Excited to have you here as well too. Kat is a starseed activator and quantum energy healer who helps entrepreneurs find their soul's mission through astrology, numerology, and her own modalities as an intuitive and a psychic. And her whole mission is to help entrepreneurs run a successful business that feels in alignment with your own soul's mission. And I'm so excited because your whole intro are like all the little pieces that we're going to be diving into today. So I'm so excited for this conversation, for everything that we are about to chat about today. Now, before we get into the down and dirty of today's conversation, what I love to do is icebreaker questions. Are you ready?
Yes, please. I love questions.
Okay, good. Where are you from?
Wow, that's a loaded one, and I love that that's the first question you asked me. But I was actually born in Eastern Europe in Serbia, and when I was about 6 or 7, there was a war going on, and my parents just wanted to move us out of there. So then we moved to Canada, and I actually grew up in Toronto, so the opposite part of Canada from you, I guess,
Yeah.
in that
Yeah.
case. And then I moved to Sweden when I was 25 to live with my husband. And now I live in Spain. So I'm kind of like from everywhere. In every single place that I visit, it feels like home to me in some sense. I can always find the one thing that kind of like gives me that feeling. But
Yeah.
yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
I love that. Like you've lived in so many different countries already, which is incredible. I'm like, goals. What is one of your guilty pleasures?
Oh, chocolate. That one's easy. Like anything sweet, really, but chocolate, I would say,
What kind of
for sure.
chocolate?
The lighter, the better. So the more sugar content, the better.
Yes. Okay,
Fake
wait, hold
chocolate,
on.
really.
Do you like white chocolate?
Sometimes I not really. I don't know. There's something about it that just tastes wrong to me. But the coconut white kind is really, really good. I've noticed.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that actually would probably be good.
Yeah.
Okay. What is something that most people don't know about you?
I feel like there's a lot of things that they don't know. But I've been through 2 wars. I speak 5.5 languages. I'm learning my sixth. Hopefully, one day I will speak it. Um, yeah, I
What are
guess
all the
that would be.
languages?
Well, I
I
was
want to know.
raised with Serbian as my native, but then
Yep.
ended up speaking English. So now it's like I think and speak and work in English most of the time.
Yep.
Then I learned Spanish because I was bored when I was about 10, didn't have much to do. And then I learned French for the same reason, then Swedish, and now I'm learning this weird language that's only spoken in a part of Spain where I live, and
Yep.
that's called Catalan.
Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
so
those are
cool.
the 5.5.
I love how you're like, I just got bored when I was 10, so we just picked up another language. Like, okay.
Yeah, it
I
wasn't
love
much for play. I guess a lot of people could relate to that. You know, when you like know you're an introvert at heart, so you'd rather stay at home. So I was like, might as well be productive when
Yeah.
I'm sitting on my couch.
Love that. What book are you reading right now?
Oh, I have a bad habit of starting like 5 different ones. I think this is a typical manifesting generator thing, but I'm rereading this one, 100 Lives, 100 Masters, something like that. I'm really bad at titles, but it's about this hypnotherapist who's also a psychotherapist. So he guides this woman on like a past life series of past life regressions.
Yep.
And it's really fun and interesting to see kind of like what comes up for her and all the lives she's lived.
Yeah. That sounds, for some reason I think I've heard about that book
Yeah,
or
it's
like,
really popular.
yeah. Not that I don't want to talk about the like, have you read it before?
I've read it once before, but for me, it's like when you go back to books, even though you read the same pages, it's like things resonate differently depending on where you're at in life. You probably know that
Absolutely.
yourself as a book.
Yeah, you get different things out of it, 100%. Okay,
Yeah.
last question before we dive into everything. What has been some of the best advice that you've been given?
You mean in business or like in general?
In general, it could be anything.
I would have to say the best advice I was ever given about my was by my great grandma. And she said this one thing to me. She was very religious, but she always saw this like trait that I had as a kid, and that was always catering to others. I guess that stems from like partially from trauma, partially from like insecurities. And she always used to say to me, honey, Jesus made his own shoes first. So, like, take care of
I
you first,
love, yeah,
and then you can take care of everyone else. And even though I'm not religious myself, that like still hits me to this day when I think of her. So, yeah, I would
yeah.
say that would be the best advice.
No, I love that. It's kind of like the whole when you're on an airplane, put your oxygen mask on
Yeah, a
first. But
little
that's
bit.
cute. That's so cute.
Yeah.
Okay, diving in to everything. So, just to give like a little bit of context to everybody here, I've done 2 or 3 emotion code sessions. Didn't expect that to be a tongue twister with Kat. So, like, I met you no November-ish. It was fall of last year, right? Something
Mhm.
along there. But there's a point to this story. So when I met Kat, it was on her personal, also business page. And then she went through this whole like death and rebirth and created the biz healer. But even since she's created the biz healer, you're now going through almost another death and
Yeah.
rebirth. And it's just been so freaking cool to watch this and like how quickly you're moving through all these shifts for yourself. So can you just kind of speak to what that process has looked like for you? Because it's a lot, and I just speaking from experience, giving up an account that you've built to create a new one, but then to create a new account and also go through all these rebirths on that account, like what you're doing in like a matter of months, most people do over a span of years. And I'm just like, this is so cool.
Yeah, I think this is a something that a lot of us online business owners can relate to, and that's like we have a really good intention and we think we have a plan. We're like, "Oh, this is how this is going to go." Like I have my business, this is my niche, all of this. But then as you grow as a human, as you evolve, I just find it really difficult to box myself into that into that narrative of like just calling myself just an energy healer or just a coach or just a business coach. Like for me, it's always been about multi dimensionality in a sense. So
Mhm.
I really am just, with every rebirth, I'm really just trying to come closer to what's authentic to me because that makes it easier to talk about the stuff that I do, right? It's more natural. I spend less time creating content. I'm not online as much, but when I am, then I really have things to share that actually resonate with my audience because I've built that. And I think, yeah, even since, like you say, even since I started this page, I've had probably like 4 rebirths. I don't know what's up with my natal chart, but something's in the air there. Um, so it's just like me trying on, you know, um, different pockets of the niche that I'm in, which essentially is energy healing. And I'm seeing how I can serve my clients best with what I do. And with that, I have to have some trial and error. So, like when I first met you, when we started working together, it was all about like removing energy blocks and all of that. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. And I love this part of my job, but I want to add to that. I want to expand that.
Yep.
So now I'm doing a lot of like past life regressions, past life ancestral healing, that type of stuff. And then, there's astrology, my love, and numerology, my other love. So I'm like, now it's time. We need to step into this. That's the thing, too, where like when you consciously step away from what you know is true to you, then it feels weird. It feels awkward to be online. Um, so that's what I'm trying to remove.
Yeah. No, I love that you say that as well too, because I just want to like reflect that like kind of what I've been going through is for like before I built the business I have now, like I pivoted a lot in the first few years of my business before I got to business coaching. And what I did previously like was a lot of more of the mindset and energetics. I work like I'm Reiki healer, I have my EFT practitioner, like I was doing a lot of that more of that spirituality, energetics, mindset work. And when I went into business coaching, I it was very much all strategy, 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 strategy. And for the longest time, like, yes, I've gone through my own death and rebirth. And every time I did, I became like my voice, I feel like became more prominent. I became more sure about like what my legacy statements are and what it is that I believe in and everything. But the big part that was missing is like the energetic piece, which I find like, and I say this all the time in my content, like I'll teach you strategy all fucking day long. Strategy is not what is going to like make the biggest change in your business. So it's interesting that you say that, because now this is the pieces that I've been like, this is a huge part of me and how I actually run my business and how I coach, but it's been missing from my business. I'm like, how the hell did I get up here? So that's so interesting that you say that as well too. But so how do you do it all? Like there's different pieces I want to touch on here. The numerology, the astrology, how you all work it together. But like when did you kind of have this idea of, you're like, okay, it's not just emotion code. I want to start adding these other things in and kind of like give yourself the permission to do that, because you built a really successful business on emotion code, right? So for you to be like, oh, okay, let's more add more modalities in. For some people, like there, I don't want to say there's an apprehension, but there's like, oh, can I actually be doing all these other things too? But I also think that speaks to your true Manny Gen design anyway.
Yeah, I think that's also the thing, right? When you create that comfort, you know that you're really good at something. You're kind of like, why would I change things? Why fix it if it's not broken? But to me, it wasn't really about that. At first, I did have that apprehension, and I was like, does this mean that I'm going to have to do things differently? Because what emotion code really enabled me to do was actually find a channel for my gifts, I guess you could say, for things that I'm naturally good at, which is, clairsentience, clairvoyance, all of these things. But I couldn't just come up to my clients and be like, why are you feeling frustrated? Instead, I needed like a modality to allow them to understand the work that I was doing. That to me was emotion code. So it was just like a channel, really. But then I realized that, a lot of my clients are, for example, moms. They have toddlers running around. So I couldn't just, me doing energy release for them. Yeah, it helps them for a period of time. But then it's kind of like we need to take them further. I need to take this new alchemized energy and then pour that into their business, help them do that with my tools. So I realized that a lot of the things that were missing is that I had a lot of clients who were investing in really high level, high ticket masterminds, because for some reason I always end up working with like six-figure coaches. I don't know what it is, but those people are not afraid of investing. They
No.
do love to pour in their business, right? And you know that yourself. There is no apprehension of like investing in like a $25,000 mastermind. That's for most of them is like, okay, I'll do this for me and my business. But
Hmm.
one thing that I was noticing is that the things that they were learning in these programs were not aligning with them because of their energy levels, because of their frequency, because of the fact that they have kids, right? So it's like finding a way to combine strategy with energetics for them was key. So how this looks like for me is always tapping into my client's space. So every week I would use my modalities, my gifts to see where they're at and really understand what they're missing. And then based on that, it's a very hands-on, one-to-one, personalized, highly customizable approach. So I would, for example, sometimes look at their transit in their chart and I would be like, focus more on this in your business. Or I would be creating nervous system regulation tools for them, or things like, prayers, so to speak, or
Hmm.
meditations, hypnosis, um, just energy work to help them be in that frequency that allows them to receive. Because that's the thing, right? Life happens. You know that yourself. We move, especially like, for example, moving is like super draining energetically for you as a human being. You know that
Yes.
yourself. You're like,
Yeah.
yep.
I did that in February and I moved like half an hour. I didn't move countries like you and it was a lot.
Yeah, even though you look forward to it, it's like a lot of it is based on your own energy, and a lot of it is required out of you, like to actually pack and do all this like physical work. So where's your mind? It's elsewhere. That's also the thing that affects your business. So my goal has always been to allow my clients to be in that state where they can always receive no matter what shitstorm happens in their life, right?
Yep.
Because
Yeah.
it's up to us whether or not we are attracting and allowing for things to come in. is directly related to how we feel, where we're at on the scale, so to speak. So yeah, it's a bunch of other things, bunch of different modalities that I use, really.
I love that. But I love how you're saying that too. It's like regardless of what's going on in your life, you can always be in receiving mode. And I think that like as more of the like I don't know if it's like the manifestation community where we've created this fear. Like, if you are not positive all the time, if you feel like you have
Mhm.
so much on your plate, like, don't get me wrong, I think there is something to be said for, like, yeah, if your plate is too full, then the universe is going to come in and protect you and be like, honey, you got enough going on right now. I see what you
Yep.
want, but like, let's clear something off the plate first. Like, that's universal protection. That's not the universe being an asshole, right? But I love how you're saying too, like you have all these different tools where you can help them to be in this receptive mode all the time, regardless of what's going on in life. And I think in too many programs with too many tools and techniques, we're taught that we have to be like on all the time, or we're taught one way to do things. And when it doesn't feel right to us, we start to question our own intuitive guidance, our own intelligence,
Mhm.
our own discernment, because it's like, well,
Mhm.
I'm told that this is the way that I have to do it. So I love how you're like, just hold on 1 minute. I'm gonna let me look up your birth chart. Let me tell you what's actually going on right now. So you can have like a pause on no, like you are actually like not right, but like really help them with that as well too. And it's funny, my coach said this to me on a training one time and it just made so much sense. It's
Mhm.
like you could be having the biggest breakdown of your life or like going on from like one breakdown to one breakdown and like you wouldn't fucking question the Amazon order that you placed yesterday that's supposed to arrive to today. It's no
Yeah.
different when it comes to your desires too, right? So, okay,
Yeah. Totally.
with this astrology, numerology, all of your like you said, Claire, I am so bad with the Claires, Claire sentient, Claire,
Yeah, that's fine. They're Claire's.
all declared. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. Okay. How do you like? What would be? I don't want to say a typical thing, but I know you said you utilize transits. But like, how do you actually combine all of these modalities, not two, for your clients and kind of like use that like really tailored and custom approach? Because I think that's really really cool and that's really unique.
Yeah. So the thing is something to be said about manifestation too. I feel like in order for us to receive, sometimes we have to let go of some things. And those things that we let go of will not always feel comfortable. And that's also what creates this resistance, right? So, for example, how that can look like if you're someone who's used to continuously making 20, 30K, and then all of a sudden a month comes where you barely make 10, that doesn't mean the universe hates you and your strategy doesn't work. Maybe you're just like making space in your business and in your life to actually quantum jump into maybe 80K months all of a sudden. So
Yep.
don't question your intuitive knowing, don't question your strategy, because as long as it aligns with your authenticity, your like what you put out there is like from your heart and your soul, that's all that matters. But yeah, about numerology and astrology, I have been like an astrology nerd ever since I was 7, but this has never been something that I felt comfortable sharing online up until now. And the reason being is, it's many, it's partially family conditioning, it's partially like what I see online. I also can catch myself sometimes thinking like, oh, is this even valuable? Are people going to need this? So astrology has always been like a back tool for me.
Yep.
I would, quickly look things up. But now as I'm pivoting, I'm realizing that no, these need to be the main tools, right? This is how I do my starseed activations is through these tools, is through inner child healing, is through ancestral healing, all of this. So I would, for example, if I see continuous patterns in my clients, I would look up their ancestral chart and see kind of what they have on the maternal versus paternal side of the chart. I would look into some inner child healing for them. We would do things like vagus nerve exercises and energy balances there, chakra healing. So it's really just me tapping into that space. And I think that's the one thing that really revolutionized my business is that allowing myself to be guided by my intuition and
Mm,
not, in my portals, there are a bunch of trainings and all of this, but I never once am I like, oh no, this week we have to do this training. Instead, it's kind of like, let's feel. Maybe we need to go there. Maybe we need to take this training, this exercise. So it's never like clear, you know, how should I say, a predetermined structure. Even though I'm a Virgo
Yep.
sun and rising and I love structure, I've allowed myself to be that intuitive entrepreneur. Um, and I think the biggest misconception, maybe you also can say something about this, but that's the like, you can only be either or. You can either be the spiritual person or you could be this, boss lady go getter type of,
Yeah.
and I think what both you and I are doing right now is really merging the two worlds and making people that come into our space aware of the fact that, like, yeah, you have the physical body, you have the mind, but you also are by default a spiritual being, right? Your soul has been on so many different amazing journeys in many different lifetimes, many galaxies, dimensions. Why would you limit yourself to the tiny little mind? Right? That's like a micro part of you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's
Yeah.
so true. And I think we ignore our own innate wisdom. And I think it's how I talk about it. It's like borrowing belief versus having this true belief. And the borrowing belief is when we look to mentors, to tools, to techniques, and all that kind of stuff to and we find the belief because it's worked for someone else, so it should work for me. So we like try it on, and maybe it works for a little bit, maybe it doesn't work at all, and then we start to judge ourselves, and it's like, what the fuck, like it's there, I'm doing everything that I have to do, why is this not working? And it's that like true belief of like you said, like this tiny little human experience we're having right now is a blip in our existence. So, like, you're going to tell me that somebody else knows better than you who's lived thousands upon thousands of lifetimes, and you're just like ignoring your own knowledge because you're outsourcing your power to somebody else
Exactly.
rather than finding, which I know too, that can sound like a buzzword, like, oh, you're outsourcing your power. What is your power? Well, like you're saying, it's coming back to like your own your own intuition, your own spiritual guidance, your own connection to God, to source, to universe, to like whatever you want to call it, and like really almost like finding your own north star and allowing it to guide you. And I think too often we get in, like you said, combining the spiritual and the masculine. Like once you have the strategy and you know, like you trust your actions, that's when you can like almost detach yourself from business and be like, no, like I got
Yeah.
this, right?
That is so, so well said. And I also think the only reason why we put other people, other coaches, doesn't matter, mentors, whoever they are, even just like people that we buy courses from, we never meet face to face, why we put them on a pedestal is because we believe that if only we do things their way, we will be able to replicate the same level of success. But never once do we ask ourselves, what is the level of success I want, deserve, and crave, right? Because, for example, for me, I know I want to be left the heck alone and have a farm, but someone else might want to have that, um, life when they're living in a big city and everything's buzzing around them. So that's not my level of success. And I think it takes a lot of courage to understand that yourself and not just know it, right? But actually, how do I act in alignment with this? How do I
Yeah.
make sure that my actions are truthful? Think that's like having that honest approach to your business. Like I have days when I show up on stories and I just say, "Hey guys, today I'm on my period and I don't feel like talking to you, so you won't see me. Goodbye."
Bye.
Exactly. If you want to ask me something, go ahead. But I never, for example, like schedule meetings when with my clients when I have to do energy work when I'm in that phase because I know that like my body, my spirit is elsewhere. So that's like honest towards me. I could be, yes, scheduling many, many sessions and seeing private clients, but I'd rather be honest and say, hey, you're going to get the best of me if you just wait 2 more days.
Yeah.
you know? So
Yeah.
it's things like
Absolutely.
that, I feel.
Yeah. I love how you said that too, is like determining what success looks like to you. And I love how you said you want to be on a farm and left alone. And I don't know if you've experienced this too, but I think this could be a cool conversation for us to have. Like for me, what I've come to realize is like my life, if I were to like put it into like a phrase, a catchphrase, it's like low key life of luxury. Like with when
Yeah.
I'm making my desired money that I want to make, like truthfully, I've had people ask me this question, and I think what's really kind of fucked me over is we're taught to have the big vision board and to keep focusing on it and calling the vision and calling the vision and like be so specific and have all this. And I'm like, and I finally had this. I'm just going to give you a little bit of backstory. Sorry, I'm going on a tangent here. I was doing
Please.
that work because because I was like really taught to do that. I'm like, okay, I'll do this. And I was actually like, I brought it up to the mentor and I was like, hey, this is not feeling good for me. Like, to be completely honest, when I focus so clearly on all that, it is, it is literally just showing me what I don't yet have. And what I realized is, uh,
Yeah.
because I am a non-specific manifester, it doesn't excite me because at a soul level, I know what I want. I don't need to like look at it every goddamn day because it just puts me then into lack and fear and scarcity and being like,
Yeah.
well, what are you doing wrong? Why don't you have it yet? Because the truth is, at the end of the day, low key life of luxury. I'm living my dream life right now. I'm just gonna have nicer shit. Like the GLK
Yeah.
is gonna be upgraded to a G Wagon. I'm gonna fly first class
That's
and
it.
I'm just gonna have more designer bags because that's my guilty pleasure. But I don't know, like, sorry, I went on a tangent here, but I feel you and I are very similar here. And I finally had that
Oh, I
realization
love you.
where, yeah, I finally had that realization where it's like, okay, and I get it. And this is why I love the way in which you approach things. And I think we're very similar in this sense. Like, I will offer you suggestions, I will offer you tools, I will offer you ways that you can do things, but I'm never going to
Mhm.
sit there and tell you, well, you need to do this work and that's why it's not working. I always end things with, how does this feel for you? Because
Yes.
because it works for somebody else does not mean that it's meant to work for you. And I almost learned that the really fucked up and the hard way, because and I it finally got to a moment where I realized I was doing the work in the container to appease the coach. And I'm like,
Oh,
whoa,
this
that is,
is so much, Jess. Like, I'm so glad that you
yeah,
brought this up. Seriously, so many of my clients that come to me feel this exact same way. And this is because of the, unresolved inner child patterns, unresolved beliefs that we have, triggers, right? Things like that.
yep,
And I think also instead of asking ourselves, what am I doing wrong? Why haven't I blown up? And why don't I have that bag that I want? Instead, let's ask ourselves, what am I doing right, that's working really, really well? Can I 10x that? Is
yeah,
it like things like funny videos? When people come across my funny videos and my sense of humor, they're like, I have to sign with this person. Let me do that. Let's that be my jam, right? Because that's also the thing. The things that are working really well for us are normally the things that we enjoy doing. And when
absolutely.
you are in that energy, as you know yourself, like that's when the floodgates of abundance open. And there's nothing wrong in wanting like the latest Gucci bag, whatever your jam is. For me personally, it's collecting mugs. I want to have I don't know, the most designer, trust me, there are designer mugs. I know this sounds really weird. Lots
Like
of
coffee
books.
mugs, you mean?
Oh yeah, all kinds of mugs. It sounds really weird.
I want you to
But
send
there,
me a picture of this after.
yeah, there's like, that's everyone likes their own thing, right? So I
Yeah,
think like when I
yeah,
look at my own vision board from let's say 2020, before I even had this business that I have today, I literally cringe. Every single like cell in my body clenches because when I see what's on that vision board, it makes no sense to me. There are like women in suits. I don't wear suits. You'll never catch me in one. Women on I don't know, in these spas, I hate sitting. I will never go to a spa, you know? So it's like things like that, being truthful to yourself. So now what I put on is like words, things that I channel that come to me, like little messages. Because I
yeah,
notice that like words mean a lot to me. So let's put those, let's have different colors, let's have, like frequency type images that are really vibey that you can get off of
yeah,
Pinterest. That's my
yeah,
jam. So that's
yeah.
on there.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I love that too. And I think the realization I had as well too, like even with manifestation is what we get so caught up in what the thing is, but the truth is it's not the thing that matters. So like you're saying, your mugs for me, designer bags or the G-Wagon, like that thing doesn't fucking matter. It's what is like the quickest way to like open yourself up to that abundance or even like apply this to business, apply this to life, apply this to relationships, don't care. It's like what is the feeling that I am seeking? Because the
Yes.
stuff doesn't
So much
matter. It's
yes.
like, what is the feeling, right?
The stuff is literally the manifestation of your frequency, of the feeling. Like it's the symbol of what you're feeling inside,
Yep.
right? So I really feel like it comes down to that. And I cannot wait for this trend of people like mystifying and also generalizing manifestation to die. Like it's not really oh, just think about something and then ask for it every day. It's really not that, I feel. But that's
No,
just me.
it's not at all. No, I feel like that's the tangent I just went on. And then so many people are like,
I love
why
it.
isn't it happening? Why isn't it happening? Why isn't it happening? And it's like, because you bringing it up to the forefront of your mind more times than not, you're judging yourself for the lack thereof.
We're not
Why don't I
doing it.
have
Yeah.
this yet? Why am I not doing it? And that is the whole, like, there needs to be this level of detachment. It's like, once you decide, you're like, your order was placed. You already know what the fuck you want. You don't have to keep checking, like, do I still want the same thing? Do I still want the same thing? Do I still, you know what you want. Now just like detach and trust that it will, like, get back to living your life and trust that it's going to come. But it's this like worrying about it and focusing on it is it that keeps
Yeah.
it from coming to you.
Yeah, like one thing that I use with my clients a lot is when they're scaling their business, I use this thing that I like to call the vacation method. So I have like a series of hypnosis that I guide them through. And the first one is like where they see themselves thinking about a travel destination. And then the next step, they see themselves booking, and I guide them to like really palpable, realistic images that they can see with their mind's eye. And then comes the
Mm-hmm.
time when they're about to get on that plane and go on a vacation. So nowhere in this process do you doubt that you're going to get on the plane. And
Yeah,
when you get to the airport, you know exactly where you're going. You're still as excited, right? So that's how we maintain that feeling and the energy of receiving, really.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay, there's like, sorry, there's like one other topic that I would love for us to talk about because it's
Go
like
ahead.
a big point that I feel like you're moving into. But you talk about the star seed archetype. Now, I'm familiar with star seeds, but I don't know if a lot of people are. So I feel like this is like your new jam, your new, I don't want to even say niche. It's not even that, but like you've narrowed in on like, this is your thing. And I am obsessed with it. So can we talk a little bit about that? Like, I love this.
Yeah, for sure. I've been doing a lot of like my own Akashic record reading and opening up the library and all of that to really see like what am I here to help people with that only I can do it my own specific way. So I think that's also the question that I was scared of asking myself before because I'm like, no, you already started here. You know, you have to like see this through. But one thing that I realized is people, if you think about this, there are a lot of people out there, especially in business, who are oftentimes referred to as old souls. And it's like either you like the type of music that no one listens to anymore that's living on this planet, or you like to collect weird things, or you are really drawn to fantasy books or something like that. I know this is one that you can definitely relate to. But,
Yes. Like
right?
all everything that you just said. Yeah. Like I feel like I needed
Right?
to be born in like the 1900s, early 1900s, or
Oh,
like
wow. I would never guessed
Frank,
you'd say that.
yeah, and even like Frank Sinatra and like music from the 30s and 40s. Like it's so my jam.
For me, it's the 70s. Like anything 70s themed, I lose my freaking shit when I see
No,
any, like the
yes,
core music. I don't know what it is.
thousand
Um,
percent can see that for you. Yes, so much so. Okay, sorry.
Future
So
was a
yes,
shit. But yeah, anyways, it's things like this that always made me feel like, am I weird? Am I just odd? You know, like, what am I doing in business? I'm not this forward moving innovator. I'm actually really old school and analog in private life, you know? But
yes.
then I started digging and I was like, huh, when I was a kid, I had this fascination with star seeds. Like my dad would take me to the public library and I would just kind of read these new age philosophies that I think he didn't even know about because, you know, my parents were very religious, so that wouldn't have been received back then. But
Yep.
then it sort of came to me. I was like, all of us that feel this way, it is because our soul has been through so many lifetimes. We have collected lessons from, you know, different eras, different dimensions. And in these different constellations and planets, time moves differently. It's not 3D. It's not like from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's more, it moves like a light, like a sound, like a color, right? It's different
Yeah.
because these planets are different. They're much more higher in frequency. Our Earth is very 3D, but anything around us is 4D and up. A lot of them being in like a 6D and 7D plane. What that means is sometimes things like language are unnecessary. So you may catch yourself knowing things that you don't know where you know them from, or you get a hunch and you're like, how did I know this? How is this a thing? Right?
I'm just
Do you
I'm
get
just
that?
laughing right now. No, because as you're saying, as you're talking about this, my like crown and soul star chakra is there's like literally so much activation here. I'm just like, yes. Sorry. I'm just laughing because as you're talking about this and it's like, yup, yup, yup. And there's so much going on up here right now. It just feels like fucking fire and like tingles. Sorry. So I'm like, oh, this is cool.
Well, that means you know you resonate and you find that you probably are a certain archetype of a star seed. And the thing is also there's so much focus on star seeds such as, Lyrians, Pleiadians, Victorians, and all these
Atlantean.
star seeds. Yeah,
Yep.
these are just actually groups of star seeds. Like when we incarnate on this planet, we incarnate in groups. We sometimes have karmic lessons from past lifetimes, from our ancestors, or from our groups, our collective. So there are some people out there who, for example, get really affected and feel sadness very deeply when they see there's a war going on, even if it's in a country they've never been to. They feel the pain, right? And that's because of the collective lineage and connection that we have. But in all of these star seed archetypes, there are people who are starseeds on this earth who have made it here with a specific mission. So, actually, some of us are educators. If you're someone who's been repeatedly told, stop educating people in your content, stop sharing information, some of us are teachers.
Hmm.
We are
Yeah.
meant to do that. We're meant to share, we're meant to educate. I, for example, am not. I'm more of a storyteller because I'm just not, right? You might be more of a innovative, always thinking of new ideas or how to create things differently in your business, how to have your own unique stance and how to stand for that. Other people are like what we call weavers. They see what you're doing, what this person's doing, what I'm doing, and they kind of see how they can be almost like a spider in a spider web.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then they make something of their own happen, right?
Yep.
Others are healers, right? So mystics. We have people who have business accounts and you look at their business accounts and you're just like, I don't know what this person does, but I'm attracted to their message. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
there, right? So yeah, I realized this and I realized this is why traditional marketing and business advice and tips and online courses don't work for so many of us. It's because we're meant to do it our own way. Like, I don't know about you, but when I started this, I didn't want anyone to be my boss. I want to do my own thing my own way. Guess that's a
Mhm.
part of like being a stubborn human as well. But yeah, that's when I realized like, hold on a second. We could all be thriving and be successful if only we allow ourselves to do it in our own way. And, you know, but basically I could talk about this all day long, so I'll just stop right here.
No, but I would love to hear like how are you now incorporating this into the work that you do and like helping people like so once you know that you're a star seed, how does that then impact your business or the way that you show up? Just different things like that.
Yeah, so this is something very new that I'm developing. So I'm working on like a series of products within my new product suite. So the first thing that I'm doing here is making business owners aware and people in general that some of us may be feeling like we're, the black sheep of the family and old souls and all of this because we might come from a specific archetype. So
Mhm.
that's my first thing, and whether or not we allow this archetype to shine through and really guide us, like you say, like our North Star, is dependent
Yep.
on different things. Like, do we understand numerology? Do we understand astrology? Do we understand the wounds of our inner child, the ancestral patterns, and all of this? So I'm weaving all of this together, and as you can probably imagine, it's work, but it's
Yeah.
just so fun. But for example, to give you a practical example, I am someone that really identifies with an archetype that's called Assyrians. They are here, yes, to be healers and to be all of this, but they're also meant to do it in a funny way, so to speak, through storytelling and in a lighthearted way. So
Mhm.
for so long, I was running my business like, for example, an Arcturian. And Arcturians are like typically what you see in CEOs, bosses, leaders, and come to find out that actually running my business this way also doesn't align with my moon sign. It doesn't align with my birth chart at all. That's why I always felt resistance. So just knowing that thing and then also being like, okay, how can I come closer to that truth that is my own? That's what
Hmm.
made a big difference for me. So I did a star seed activation for one of my clients the other day, and she's like, literally everything from like the branding colors to like the hooks to everything is like, she was like, this is so me. The exact way that she was supposed to lead in her business just felt so much like her just because we unlocked that. So I think it's hella powerful work, really. I really
Yeah,
feel
that
that.
sounds no, it sounds so cool. I'm excited. And I know that you have a quiz on this as well too to see which one you are. I haven't taken it yet, but like I've been watching it. I
Oh
was like, I
yeah.
need to sit down and take it. I'm so excited to do that. Um, okay. I feel like if I don't, like, not that I want all of these conversations to just continue for forever, but I feel like you and I will just like keep going for forever. So with that being said, I love to end on one kind of like last question, but as a rebel by nature, like you said, as somebody who is the black sheep and wears the crown proudly, what has been one
Probably.
of the, yes, what has been one of the biggest chances that you've taken on yourself that's got you to where you are now?
I would actually have to say it was investing in all of those high level masterminds. It was actually allowing myself to taste that space so that I can see what in fact is for me. And then so that I can take my resources and my energy and invest in other things, such as acquiring, different tools and doing this research that I feel so passionate about that my whole life was told like, oh, don't go there. That's weird. That's odd. No one wants your spiritual gifts and all of that. So it was actually being on both ends. I think that's also in life and business. You have to know polarity and you have
Mm-hmm.
to have tasted both in order to know where you land. Um,
Yep.
yeah, I would say shortly, because like you say, we could talk about this all night. We should have like an overnight live or something.
Oh my God, we should. Or like just series. I feel like we could make so many different series with this, but
Yeah.
I'll have you on the podcast as many times as you want to come on. Let's be honest.
Well, you want me to.
Okay. Kat, can you tell everybody where they can find you, follow you, what's going on? Oh, when's your episode? Your episode will be coming out in July, mid-July-ish.
Oh, okay. So you can find me right now on Instagram as the Biz Healer. As of right now, I do have intentions of changing my username, but I won't do it yet. So maybe in July when this drops, it will be something else. But
If
yeah,
it
that's where I'm
does,
at. Yeah,
if it does, I'll have your new link and like all of your contact information will all be in the show notes for people to find you. So like if it does
sure.
change, don't worry, I'll still be able to find you. I'll put the right one
Awesome.
in.
Yeah, but for now, I'm also on TikTok, which I'm not sure how I feel about. And I do have plans of like being on YouTube and having my own podcast. But just like Manny Gen stuff, just way too many ideas and too many
Yes.
um, desires, I would say. But that's where you can find me predominantly.
Perfect. I will do that. And then if you're I'll link the Starseed quiz, but also too if there's anything else that's out and like new and fresh that you want to promote during that time, everybody check the show notes because there's going to be something amazing for you there. Again, Kat, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you being here with me,
Jess,
and thank you so much for listening. And we'll see you all next week. Bye, everyone.
thank you. Bye.